Hello and welcome to What a Guy Wants. We're your hosts, Coach Ali and Coach Yogesh. And as you already know, our podcast is all about all things men. And today, as we're coming up towards the end of our first series, the spotlight today is all on Yogesh and about his coaching journey and about what he wants to share. It's been such an incredible journey because we met up in January and from conversation, it turned into a podcast. And we're here today. And there's so much that I've learned from Yogesh itself, but I'm not going to steal all the thunder. So, Yogesh, tell me, what would you like to bring to the conversation today?
To the conversation today, a little bit about firstly to thank Ali to be my partner in crime with the podcast. In general, like the introverted, really shy kid in me was petrified to come on camera, petrified of being in public places, really cared about what others thought of me and do I look okay? Am I sounding okay? Is my voice good? So there were a lot of insecurities with regards to that, and also a lot of fear for public speaking. So after trying to do a lot of Instagram posts and get that going, and being really drained in my energy with that, we just started this off, and I had really good energy to start. And honestly, as you mentioned as well, like the metrics which we were measuring, the podcast wasn't so much about how many views, how many likes, and all of that. It was more about growth, honestly. It was about growth and value created. So I've seen a lot of growth for myself with regards to being comfortable on this chair, speaking about topics which are very difficult, very vulnerable sometimes, but also very important, and also growth and value for the people who are listening in, for the people who are actually struggling with one or other of the issues and don't have an outlet for it. Like they're like, I don't know if I can talk about it. I don't know if I won't be judged for it. And just them listening to two people who are actually being vulnerable and honest, that is something which I'm been very proud of. And the analytics, the metrics, all of that can come in later. But the start has been very fulfilling from that perspective. And I think in general in life, Ali just mentioned it, like Ali gave me an aha moment, like we kind of look at the things that didn't go right or things that are not working, but we very rarely look at the things that are working and that have been good and where we have progressed. So just starting on that note and celebrating this, we've shot one season, we've been very consistent, we've kind of broke, for me, it's about life is about breaking the cycle of patterns, because we all going in cycles. One pattern will keep repeating till we actually don't acknowledge it and break it. I acknowledged and complained about it to the core with Instagram. Oh, I hate this and all of it. And I really tried to break the pattern, but it wasn't happening because there was a lot of things involved. And here I just feel it's the beginning of breaking the cycle, and lots more to come in as well.
That's beautiful, Yogesh. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you. And if I was to ask, right, rewinding like, say, 3, 4 months, 5 months where there was no podcast at that time, if there was a gift or there was one big learning that's come up for you from this podcast about yourself, what would that gift or learning be?
So, Ali, the one big shift and learning would be this shift in identity. Any area in which we are struggling, right? There is a huge belief system and an identity that, I'm not good at it, or this is uncomfortable, or sometimes when we just start off new in something which we are not used to, the belief is that others are so good, I'm comparing myself and I'm not good enough. So I feel the biggest shift has been something which can't be so tangible right now, is a shift in identity. Like I see myself as a podcaster. I can't put value in that. But when, say, a friend at gym would be like, tell me which episode should I listen to, show me your podcast and YouTube. And I'm like, yeah, you should do episode three. This is about this thing, this is about that. And he listened to it and give me feedback. And it would be normal for me. So I think that is the biggest shift in anything you want to create a change. Once you shift the identity, and automatically the other things become easy.
That's beautiful. And it's so true. It's all about the identity and it changes. We can change everything. And Yogesh, I'm also curious to know what brought you to coaching? What made you a relationship coach?
Yeah, so as I harp on identity and I harp on transformation, and it comes from that aspect where, as a guy, sometimes it can be a little embarrassing that, I sucked at dating. I only had dysfunctional dating and relationships. I didn't have a proper committed relationship till I was 30. And even then, it was toxic. And I felt like there was a lot of blocks, and I would always blame someone that, this is the reason, that is the reason, and all of that. And I was in a identity of A, I know I'm not good at it. B, I'm also a victim of it, and I'm going to blame others for it. I saw that trend being happening. Finally, it needed me to be very, very honest with myself and be like, I am the common denominator in all of those things. And once I started doing that, I actually shifted myself. Like, I would think of myself as a person who's not attractive, not confident, till I don't get a physique which will be amazing, till I can have a speech which will move a million people. So there were a lot of metrics which was also coming from perfectionism, which were there. And if you see it, there were a lot of internal standards, internal challenges, which were manifesting outside. But even if I would learn about it, I would read about it, I would be a good student about it, those internal things needed someone to actually check in and say, you know what, those standards don't make sense. Some of it can be let go of, some of it you got to start, and all of that. So I personally felt really, really like my ego took a huge dent because of that. And also, I had enough of it. So once I started really being open with myself, and I think my spiritual journey helped to heal a little bit of my pains and traumas and challenges. And once I got the coach, the shift was very, very fast. So for me, I think the coach doesn't, like, they say in these practices that when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So I think at that point of time, I was open to change. And that created really huge shifts in my relationship space where if someone spoke of, right, like, I have had two relationships, three committed relationships, one relationship, one partner, one this thing, and all of it, I would feel very embarrassed. I would feel like if that would be a huge pain point for me. Like just talking about relationship history. But now it's not a pain point anymore. Now it's a, you know what, that's my journey. It started off rocky, but I've shifted it and now it's not a pain point anymore. Now I feel I know what I bring to the table and I feel like I'm very good in any of my relationships or whatever happens. It doesn't need to be a partner relationship. I feel the toll took on all relationships, even relationships with my dad, my brother, my parents, my sister, everyone, like friends, all of it. It has spillover effects and everything on my health, injuries, everything. So in general, I saw shift and higher floor in all of it, and the ceiling also kind of breaking out. So that kind of was the answer at that point for me. I'm very much follow your heart kind of guy, and my gut and my heart scream like coaching it is. And that was just when I saw shifts in that, I really believed in it and I took a plunge to, continue. Coaching has been to continue my relationship journey personally, continue my growth, and also help people who have been in the same boat, are in the same boat, or are facing different challenges on that boat. That became a bigger mission than me. So, yeah.
That's a beautiful way to first take your biggest pain point and turn it into your strength, and then to help others through that journey as well, because we're never alone, right? There's so many people who are still suffering and they feel that it's only them, but it's not them. We're never alone. And I'm also curious to know that if you had to say something to that 25-year-old Yogesh, what would you tell him?
I think what you just said, that you're not alone in this problem. This is a challenge that a lot of people are facing. The dating world, the relationship space has become even more complicated. And there are also that there is help there. I would tell the 25-year-old there is help there, that you don't need to wait for 5, 6, 7 more years to challenge it. And also not to throw time at the problem, throw money at the problem, and take help. And it's not about just throwing money. It's also about being in the mindset that, you know what, someone has done it. Someone has been on this boat. That guy will help me get there more faster. So the 25-year-old, I would actually think if you do this faster, you'd get to your mission faster, you'd make more money faster. Everything would happen much more in a more truncated timeline. And that would be my advice to them.
Absolutely. It's all about mindset, right? When we can fix what's happening here in this zone, then everything just becomes more easier. That's why they say that 80% mindset, 20% action is about when we've got the mindset that 20% action it just comes in so easily and also effortlessly. And Yogesh, I'm also curious about just asking this really open question where what is something that Yogesh would like to share about that if I asked a leading question or a direct question, I would never get the answer to.
Interesting. I think I would share that if we are honest with ourselves, that you know what, my relationship pattern has been this and it's not helping, automatically we don't need to wait for the pain and a problem to become a disease and an illness and a big issue. So I'm a big believer that what you just said as well in your piece, that the body keeps score. So if we don't heal the things we have to heal, it is going to take a toll on my body, on my mind, on my health, on my sleep, on my eating habits, on my relationship with my partner, in my relationship with everyone, and in my own energy. So I feel the holistic approach is to be honest with ourselves and process these emotions. So one thing I'm really passionate about is helping men, because see, previously, historically, men have been in a more powerful situation, right? We were in a very highly patriarchal society. So it's a little odd, like you want to empower men who are already having a history of being powerful, but the dynamics of the society is changing where women are getting more empowered. And I feel that's an amazing thing. We needed women to come in the workforce to be independent and to be empowered, so they are not abused and used anymore, because the woman who's abused is also making the man worse because he's being the perpetrator, he's being an abuser. So we needed this, but what's happening is as the status of the man is shifting, the power dynamic is shifting, he doesn't know how to handle it. So the biggest effect that is happening is in the relationship and dating scene, seeing massive number of divorces, the dating scene becoming more complicated because men are not able to handle it. Another aspect which I'd like to talk about, which I'm very passionate about, is our previous eras, like the era of my parents was a survival era. My dad didn't need to be emotionally intelligent, didn't need to have those skills, because he was told, just work hard, just get money, provide for the family, and your kids are alive, safe, decent human beings. That's your role done, and that's 100 on 100. And in my books, my dad hit 100 on 100 because he did all of those things with high levels of consistency, which I'm not able to do with that consistent like a clockwork. But unfortunately, that model doesn't work right now. A lot of us men are used to that model, that just going to do that, you do all of the other space, all the other things, and not be in the emotional space. It's causing a lot of strain on the relationships. This is a consciousness era. You have to admit to it. Women now know more about power dynamics, about when they're not safe, about when they're not heard, everything. So we need to develop those skills. Like there is still a lot of discomfort with men. I went to a networking event yesterday and said I'm a relationship coach, and everyone like, oh, whoa, like there's so much discomfort, but it's very important for men to learn how to be in the emotional space, because I saw, once I learned that is the feminine energy. Once my feminine energy, the foundation was good, the masculine energy can fly and fly high. And if your relationship at home isn't good, you won't be able to have high quality work. Some people have done it in the past. Relationship is shit. I'm going to work for 15 hours at the office, come back, sleep, and do whatever to release urges and release stress. And made millions, but it won't work now. It will come at a huge cost of your health, of your mental peace, and other aspects of your energy. So it cannot work right now, and the universe will call you out at it very soon. So before that happens, can you preempt it and work on that feminine energy, work on that space so that your relationships are nice, cordial, and like, Ali, I'm really aspirational with how your relationship and your partner relationship is with your wife, and that support, that unconditional support, helps you go out there and fly. And that's something which, when men have that, they will make a lot of money. There's no shame in making money, there's no shame in being masculine and using that masculine energy. But without that emotions in check, without that feminine energy, you become toxic. That becomes toxic masculinity. So that's something which I'm always very strongly a big advocate of.
Beautiful, Yogesh. Yes, the dynamics have very much shifted between men and women. And with time, what's happened is that in the previous generations, there were absolutely defined roles. And those roles aren't that defined anymore. And also, I wanted to ask that, everything comes at a cost, and I'm going into a different direction. And going through this transformational journey of your own, then becoming a coach, I'm curious to know what is the cost that Yogesh has paid to get to where he is right now, and how does he feel about it?
Wow, that's a huge thing. I think a lot of it, because I'm a recovering nice guy, because my dad is a very nice guy, and that the definition of this nice guy is someone who wants to fit in, who who's nice to people, who'll be a little people pleasing and all of that, and want to be part of things, even at the cost of being disrespected, even at the cost of not being honored to that level. I think the cost has been letting go of few things, few people, and relationships not being as close as there, which were previous relationships not being as tight there. But I feel a lot of it, the cost is also to being a anomaly in society. Like I come from a Sindhi Indian background, which is very entrepreneurial, which is good, similar journey, but they're also into a different kind of industries where they make a lot of money and do that and have a lot of big cars, big houses, and big everything. Wherein I've been a bit of a contrarian, where I feel I've given the highest priority to my spiritual journey, to change, shift inside, to be in communities, to sit in meditation, to do all of that. Because I've been a contrarian, I've also been the black sheep who's not going on that train where everyone's all at. So it's been, from that perspective, it's been challenging, but it's also, COVID has helped because it meant that people just took a little bit of a break from each other. And I think that in that break, I kind of got alignment with myself and who I want to be. And honestly, it's now coming in where I don't need to be a contrarian anymore. I can be part of the crowd because we are all one. I'm actually connected with everyone and we get energy from there, but also be very steadfast in my principles. So that's a learning process because I had to detach to attach again. That's been the cost. It's been a confusing journey at times. I've questioned myself. I've questioned the path I'm at. I've questioned if coaching is it because everyone's has shouted from the roofs that coaches don't make money, who will pay you for it, what are you doing with your life, and all of those very difficult questions, which had merit in it. But again, I'm more of the heart space and the gut space. So if my heart and gut is a yes, then I've taken that plunge in with faith, with belief that I will not only make a difference in people's lives, I will not only shift myself and people, but I'll also be successful at it financially and from a fulfillment perspective. That's a dream life I've taken a bet on, but it's something which I feel I wouldn't have it any other way.
Beautiful, beautiful, and absolutely that dream life, right? Yogesh, when you can see it in your mind's eye, you've already seen it. It's just a matter of creating it with your hand, and it's already coming there and it's already being created. And through this journey, right, to follow your heart and your gut, it requires courage, it requires strength. So, in order to follow your own path, I wanted to just ask how much courage has it required from Yogesh?
I'm not one to actually analyze that, like how courageous am I, and all of that. It makes me feel, tooting my horn makes me feel a little off, doesn't feel natural. I would say more than the courage, I would talk about the belief. Like I have a very, very, very strong belief that through coaching, lives can be changed. So if that belief is in the right order, it means there's an identity which is shifted. And I actually told you about it, like there's an identity that a lot of inner space will shift out the outer space. And that is now become such a part and parcel of my personality that it also has its ego of its own, has a mind of its own. So that has been very strengthened and it keeps strengthening that it helps me on my path. It's just like, all the crazy anomalies, the crazy cricketer who made it, Virat Kohli who made it, or Michael Jordan who made it, or someone else who made it against a lot of odds. Why did they do it? Because they absolutely loved it and they believed in themselves. And then you do that enough times and you leave it for the universe to conspire for you and to make things happen. I wanted to be a famous cricketer and a sports person. That was my actual first dream as a kid. But I feel being the coach would also fulfill that little child's dream of making it and creating a difference, because I feel that would make, like, really successful cricketer has also shaped the mindset of a whole generation. Like Virat Kohli has shaped my mindset as well. Like I was already into sports and athletics and being fit, but he's like, fitness is the highest thing and nutrition is the highest thing, and I've gone even more ham at it because of him. But I feel that can be done through coaching as well, and to a higher level, to a more deeper level, and that makes the little kid really happy. Like that would be a dream fulfilled for that little kid. And I feel that's something that keeps me going. As I said, I really believe in the path that keeps me going.
That's lovely, Yogesh, and that's beautiful. And because I'm not going to let you off that easily. So if you were going to, if you're viewing yourself from my perspective or another close friend's perspective or some family member's perspective, just from an outside perspective, and or from perhaps from a bird's eye view, just how courageous has Yogesh had to be to bring him to where he is now? How would they see it?
You're really not going to let it go, yeah?
No.
I would say yes. Either they'd be like, this guy is crazy. He is, or he's like very stubborn about what he wants and he's going to go at it, whatever come may. Like, I've had people tell that to me on my face, like people who I'm not that close to, like, when your family says that, they say a lot of things and they also mean well, they have a lot of love for you. But there are people who are not that close, but actually sit down with you and are very successful in what they do. And they're like, what are you doing? You're wasting your time. You won't be able to do it. You won't make it. So even if that's happened, I've like haven't let it affect me. I've realized that there are few people who I want to hear and I want to follow. And those are my people. But yeah, it's taken some bouts of courage and very strong mindedness, which comes naturally to me that I'm very strong headed in some ways. Like, if this is it, this is it.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Yogesh. And just being conscious of time, if you have any last thoughts, any parting lessons you'd like to share.
Honestly, life isn't very complicated. It's very simple. You move your body, have the physical shift, consume good things, be it food, be it water, be it conversations with people, and what content you're consuming, consume good, and hang out with have your top five people very clear. I listen to them, I hang out with them, I be with them, and I converse with them. That is also a sort of consumption only because you're exchanging energies there and you're actually vibing there. What are the quality of your discussions and conversations? Is it high level thinking, talking about ideas, talking about things talking about ideas that will create change in the world? Or is it about things? Or is it about people and talking shit about people? So, what are you consuming? How are you moving? And finally, are you taking care of your inner space? All of this affects your inner space. But even if you get help from a coach, get help from a professional, and work on your inner space, all of this can be changed as well. So once we do that and we do that consistently, life becomes very easy. Life becomes very rewarding and fun. So that's the idea, to have really do things that you enjoy, have a fun life, and have a life which you're like, damn, I'm proud of it. I really am proud of sharing my story online. I want to talk about it and I want to create something better than only for myself. It's only me. It's actually about then creating a better thing for society, for your community.
Yeah, I just love that. Like, when you said consumption, right? And consumption is just not about what goes through our mouth, it's about what goes into our ears as well, what we see as well. And there's so many types of consumption, and all of that actually impact the way we think. And if we want better thoughts, we need to consume better stuff. So I love that. Yogesh, thank you so much for your vulnerability today. And thank you so much for like being like, I just love what we have is that where either one of us has this need for coaching, we're there for each other. And thank you for being there for me. It's been so rewarding, and there's so much that I've learned through this journey of ours. So I appreciate all that, and I honor you for all that. And thank you for everyone for listening in, for tuning in. As always, please share your thoughts. Please share your thoughts, what you feel, what you think. We love to know more about you. Today was all about Yogesh. And if you've got any other thoughts, even about Yogesh, please share them. I'd love to read them, positive or negative. Do share them there. So I'd love that. And that's both of us signing out. Have an awesome day. Take care. If this podcast has benefited you in any way, then hit the follow and bell icons below. As always, this space is yours. So use the Q&A to put in your thoughts or your challenges. After all, so that little share of yours, you never know who you might be helping. Have a super awesome day.